So what's your name?
It's Pete.
And you've known me for a few years?
Yeah, just a couple, yeah. Yeah.
We have lunch together occasionally?
And heck, yes.
And you leave comments on my site?
I do, yes. Every once in a while, yes.
And you have, you've lived in Japan a number of years?
Yes, I've lived there too.
So here's my question.
Okay.
Did you ever think you and I would be friends right now?
No, I never did. Not before I met you, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had no idea who you were.
That's true.
You know, so
when I met you, I haven't done this for my other interviews, but I need to turn this.
Okay.
When I met you, Pete,
this is all live, but
it was at
this is
a Jesus Lizard show.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing you. I think you denied this because I think I mentioned this to you before, but I remember a guy barefoot. Pete was from Mississippi. I remember a barefoot guy with a long beard and like overalls with no shirt underneath, just sitting on the side of the stage, like smacking his like knee like crazy. And I said to my friends, like, that's somebody I got to know.
And it was not me.
It was you.
The irony is that wasn't me.
No, that was you.
Dude, I never go around barefoot.
You were barefoot and overalls with no shirt underneath.
I never wear overalls.
I guarantee it.
Lies.
I guarantee
Absolute lies.
So, Pete's working on a book, among other things.
Yes.
With his experiences in Japan with the
correct.
What do you call them? The forgotten men of. What's the phrase that they use in Japan for those guys?
Oh, they're day laborers.
Day laborers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like itinerant day laborers. So they work for a certain amount of money a day, and then they like stay in hotels at night.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, kind of like migrant work in some ways.
And you don't think, are they from rural areas or?
Usually they're from the rural areas, and they come to the cities to work construction jobs. Mm-hmm. And formerly, what they would do is they send money back to their families in the rural areas. But since the economy is so bad, they're not able to do that, so they can't return back to where they came from.
Right.
Because, you know, they're an embarrassment.
And you don't think their stories have been told until now? Like you don't, like they're kind of ignored, or like people pretend like they're not there.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they'll be sleeping on the streets, and people will just basically walk right over them, and won't even. I mean, it's kind of like walking over a plant or something. It's really kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's very different from homeless people here. Homeless people here will come up and ask you for change, make themselves visible in some sense, but over there they don't do that.
We had one of the earlier women that I interviewed here was a nurse at a healthcare center, health clinic in Ipsy, and we're talking about a bunch of different things about why she won't vote for Obama again and how fucked things are and how we need national health care and all this kind of stuff. But you know, one thing led to another when we started talking about kids. Like, I guess I brought up Robert Kennedy, and when Robert Kennedy ran for president, he went through Appalachia and drew the nation's attention to poverty.
Right.
Like he went with a bunch of photographers, and they shot, and they went into these like hollers or where these people are living, and they took pictures and stuff. We're talking about
a book that came out of that.
Yeah, we're talking about how you raise people's attention, you know, now in the United States to what people are going through in the inner cities.
Right.
It was saying, like, would it make sense to raise money to put like these little flip cameras in the hands of kids so they could document their lives and put them online? Like, how do you, because people right now in mainstream American culture don't realize that there's a third world country within the United States.
Sure.
They don't know what goes on in Detroit.
They don't know what goes on in Detroit, and they barely knew what went on in New Orleans before Katrina. I mean, that was one of the big shocks of the Katrina. You know, oh my God, there's poverty in the United States. I mean, it's something that, you know, some of us knew already. Yeah. But I mean, people like live these sort of convenient lives and they don't have to deal with it. I mean, there are people who've done a similar type of projects in Johannesburg with for lack of a better word, illegal immigrants in South Africa, which in South Africa is really the bottom of the heap. And so they would give these mothers cameras, and they would ask them to document, you know, all the aspects of their lives, because people can't go to these places, and you know, people don't trust people from the outside, so they have difficulty in opening up. So they figure give them cameras and they can document it. And I mean, the results are pretty astounding, you know. But whether that generates any sort of attention in the general population is up to skeptics.
Yeah, I know people have given disposable cameras to homeless people in the past, but I don't know that it's gotten a lot of attention. I don't know how you raise it up. It's kind of like you need somebody like Robert Kennedy or somebody who's like of national significance to like draw attention to it. I think John Edwards did it for a little while.
Right.
I don't know. No one else seems to care about it. Obama certainly doesn't talk about poverty.
Never.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So,
biggest disappointment ever.
Are there any politicians that you know of that are all talking about poverty? I mean, Bernie Sanders to some extent talks about it, but not to a huge
extent. Talks about poverty?
Yeah, that actually go and talk.
None that I know. Yeah, no one talks about poverty unless they're talking about cutting Medicare benefits.
Right, it doesn't win elections.
Medicaid benefits or welfare benefits like Snyder did recently. I mean, no, nobody talks about it unless they're speaking of it in terms of